We're going to start tonight with a community builder presentation. A few years ago, we initiated this award, this recognition, in order to acknowledge the remarkable contributions that some people in our community make to this area, to the Fraser Valley and to Abbotsford. The people who have received it have, without exception, been exceptional people who have given their time, their energy, their money, much of their lives to making this community a better place. The recipient of our award tonight is Dave Holmberg, and I would like to ask the Abbotsford Community Services Manager, Richard Aikema, to make this presentation.
Thank you, Virginia. The man I'm about to introduce doesn't need this thing at all, as you'll find out. You kind of stole my thunder a bit because you introduced the guy, and I was hoping to do that, but never mind. Here we go. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Aikema. I'm one of the managers at Recycling, and it's my great pleasure to present the Community Builders Award this evening. The recipients of this award have shown exemplary leadership in making Abbotsford Community Services a better place to be, and larger, Abbotsford as a community a better place to live. Whether public, private, or nonprofit, their initiatives are focused on the public good and the quality of life. In order to present this award, I'm going to ask for your patience for just a bit and then present this award with a bit of a twist. Although recycling has been part of Abbotsford Community Services since the early days, we have faced different issues than most of the agency throughout the years. Our life revolves around the environment, processing tonnage, conducting ourselves fiscally more like a business than a non-for-profit agency. Tons per hour, prices per ton, product throughput are just some of the terms which we banty about in the normal course of a day. In the early days, recycling was started as a work program for adults with developmental disabilities. The first recycling depot was opened by Community Services on Peardenville Road with all manual labor and one tiny small orange forklift. As the program grew, the amount of material to be processed also grew, and we had need for another small machine. A 743B was purchased. Now, most of you don't know what a 743B is. But there's a man in this room who can tell you not only tell you what a 743B is, but he can tell you how many gallons per minute the hydraulic system puts out, its turning radius, maximum lift height, and carrying capacity, and a host of other things about the 743B. The 743B is a Bobcat. It was a very long time ago, and now fast forward to the present. We operate 5 Bobcats in our plant. In addition, there's one parked at my place. Not one of theirs, but one of mine. So we're talking about approximately 20 years where we've gotten to know the man that I have the honor of introducing. Not only have we gotten to know him, but also his family, as they've worked alongside their father in the family business called Bobcat Country and Vermeer Sales, almost as big as mouthful as Abbotsford Community Services. Some of his past achievements have included, and I'll only give you a sampling because otherwise I'll be here all night, over the years. One of them is Crime Stoppers, Ducks Unlimited. He's been the campaign manager for Dave Candall. He's been the campaign manager for Michael DeYoung. He's worked at fundraising and support for the Salvation Army, Abbotsford Community Services fundraising, the Abbotsford Hospice Society, very dear to his heart, as you'll find out in a minute, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Agra Ferry. He's been on the board of directors for 2 years. He's also been involved in restorative justice, been on their board of directors, and most recently he's helped develop the Discovery Trail, which goes through Abbotsford from one end to the other. Currently, he's retired, right? Currently, he sits on he's the director and chair for the Abbotsford Airport Authority. He's the director for the Abbotsford Economic Development Board. He's also a director for the Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce. He's a member of the Abbotsford Executive Association. He's a busy guy. Now, before I wrap this up, I just want to add a twist. This man's two sons, of which Phil is present here tonight as well, and his lovely wife, were part of the family business and worked alongside their father for many years. For us at Recycling, these two sons were the front line for our daily business contacts with Bobcat Country. Sadly, one son passed away in 2011 after a heroic battle with cancer, leaving a void which still hurts today. So the twist is this. I want to introduce you the recipient of our Community Builders Award 2012, Mr. Dave Holmberg, and in memory, Dave Jr., his son. No, because he doesn't need it, but you're welcome to say a few words.
Thank you, Richard. Abbotsford Community Services goes back a long way with me. From Penny in your department and looking after children and the way you look after children and the way you do things in this community for everyone. You do it all. In my life experiences, and I'm going to go back a little bit because Joe's here and this is going to be something he'll enjoy hearing. When we were in business in the early 1980s, selling Bobcat loaders and what we do, we had a lot of theft going on in our operations. And so we did some sting operations, and I was influential in starting Crime Stoppers in our community. Also during the 1980s, I play golf, and I love to play golf at our wonderful Ledgeview Golf and Country Club, by the way. I played with my friend Jim Murphy, who was a deputy Minister of Corrections for the Western region of Canada. He looked after Matsqui Institution, Mission, up at Agassiz, etc., and all the way out to Saskatchewan. In talking to my friend Jim Murphy, he encouraged me to become a part of the Matsqui Citizens Advisory Group for the penitentiary. My first thought was, that's a bloody good idea. I'm sick and tired of those little shit rat bastards stealing my stuff. And if they're going to be caught up in there, I'm going to make sure they never get out. Well, that was my attitude, and that truly was my attitude. And I get in there and I'm chairing the Citizen Advisory Group for the Matsqui Penitentiary, and I meet all kinds of inmates within the penitentiary. Subsequently, because of my loud mouth and my reputation, I soon become chair of the Matsqui Citizens Advisory Group. And then, some of you will recall, when we had Sumas Center here in our community, there was a real problem with what they were attempting to do with gradually releasing inmates in our community. It did not work out very well, and I certainly, along with Dave Candle, were privy to what was going on there, and we helped close that operation down because it wasn't right. But one of the things that did occur to me, and I sat on some very serious inquiries into corrections, and I had to travel to Agassiz, to a high-profile prison, and meeting all of these young fellas in there that were incarcerated. In meeting these guys, and I have to tell you that I'm also first vice president of the Abbotsford Air Show Society. The interesting thing was the average age of Canadian military pilots was 28.1 years of age in Canada. The average age of the inmates up in Kent was 27.9 years of age. There was something terribly wrong here. Something went wrong with their lives. Something terrible went wrong with their lives. And I have to tell you that with the experience in talking to these young people, I find out that it was childhood rearing with parents, with teachers, with lack of authority, with lack of respect of authority, was really the problem. When you can talk to a young man that has done things that you haven't even seen on television yet, that's 28 years old, that I have the privilege of reading his whole profile, I'm telling you, there is something terribly wrong. when I talked to him about his life and how he got there, and then talked to him about his sister and his mother, and he starts crying with me in this little block room. As a result of that kind of experience of my life, I became very involved with starting restorative justice in this community. In this community, it was very important that you attach yourself and get somebody to attach themselves to young people in that 10 to 13 age group, whether they be male or female. I tell you, it doesn't matter. Those young people need somebody to have respect for, that they can listen to and clearly understand. And when they get into that little bit of trouble, which we all, if it happens to us, it's serious, but it's a little bit of trouble, believe me, compared to those young fellas in Kent. You can do something about it. And restorative justice is what that's all about. Joe is here today to talk to you about some other issues of life, and I'm sure it relates somewhat to what I have had to say. But my pleasure to live in this community is great. It's great because we really have created something great in our community, of a population of people that give back to its community. And I thank you for allowing me to be associated with this community service, and you, Richard, and the great job that you and Walter Petkow and all your people do. I thank you very much for that, and I sincerely thank you for inviting me here today. Thanks very much.